The teachings of Sri Satya Sai Baba,
where Swami said, it's good to do self-inquiry.
digging deeply to uncover the truth of who you are.
He used the word self-investigation. Who am I?
Dharma Bungaroo from Minton, Ontario, who has learned Sai Baba's greatest teachings by experiencing them.
The self-inquiry will lead to the complete annihilation of the ego, the be-all and end-all for all your spiritual growth heading towards self-realization.
And along the way, by following the teachings of Sai Baba, Dharma has learned that he is not the doer.
Now, nothing is being decided by me. Nothing is being done by me because the sense of doership, I have already relinquished it, the results, the outcome of it. And the more I relinquish, the more I detach from that, the better I feel and the less stressful I feel.
And why aren't more Sai Baba followers? Why aren't more people anywhere catching on to knowing themselves more clearly?
And as Swami said, self-realization is in everybody. Everybody is self-realized. But we are befogged with so much of the past, the present, our anger, our desires, that leads us to being in the mode of unfinished business. And we come back again and again and again. We don't need to have to put Swami any question. We have only to practice. This is the secret of it.
Sai Baba's teachings of self investigation are similar, if not identical, to the teachings of Ramana Maharshi, another teacher favored by Dharma and other Sai devotees. Why? These teachings are transformative.
This has brought so many positive changes in my life. And what is it other than peace, happiness, and contentment that you need? So go in deeply into the teachings of Swami, because if you follow my teachings, that will lead you to the source.
Welcome to Souljourns. This interview was recorded on March 4th, 2023, from Minton, Ontario, and Coronado, California. Dharma Bungaroo, welcome to
Yes.
Souljourns today from a place very close to the city, the wonderful city of Toronto, Canada. You're from Minton, Ontario. I'm so happy to have this opportunity to talk to you today. How did you become interested in spirituality to the depth that you're involved with it today?
Well, it happened by itself. I was not uh, being a hardcore seeker, but things happened in life where you're being caught unaware and you're being dragged into that ocean. Of course, Swami is here to guide me. But in order to substantiate what I am saying is the whole story started in 2006 when I visited Swami.
Sai Baba and Puttaparthi?
Yeah, Sai Baba, and spent 4 days, but that was the beginning of it. Since then, everything changed into my life into in a positive way, but there was some, I would say, some grooming which Swami did with me.
Grooming.
Yeah,
How did he
spiritual
groom?
grooming.
How did
Huh?
he groom you?
Well, there were many lessons he taught me. Those lessons, they came into my family life and into my professional life. But then I realized that, okay, I need to take a stand and realize what is happening. And with time, I see that my life changed into such a way that I really am not interested in anything. I am more into kind of with Swami, reading his teachings. And the most important thing is to apply those teachings into daily lives.
It sounds like you learned a valuable lesson from Swami, from Sai Baba, about giving up attachments in this world.
I give up so many things, so many things. My life completely changed in terms of no more socializing. I'm a little bit antisocial, if you may say, but no more socializing, no more partying, no more this and that. And I am only glued to Swami's lotus feet. He is doing the rest for me.
Yeah.
Nothing is being decided by me. Nothing is being done by me because the sense of doership, I have already relinquish it, the results, the outcome of it. And the more I relinquish, the more I detach from that, the better I feel and the less stressful I feel.
Well, it sounds like he really won you over in believing no longer that you are the doer of your life. Most of us go through life thinking we make the decisions. Our free will takes us here or there. But that's one of Sai Baba's big lessons, is that you're not the doer.
But he keeps on saying, but we don't follow. We fail to catch, to grasp his teachings in a way, because we hear it and then we forget it. We hear it and we forget it. But I try to catch hold of Swami's feet.
Tell me one thing, if you will. I know of many people who love Swami dearly with every fiber of their being, as they say. And Swami has many lessons, But above everything else, it's my impression, and apparently it's yours too, is to listen carefully to his message when he says, repeat after me, I am God, I am God, I am no different from God. It's my impression also that the great majority of ardent Sai Baba devotees don't choose that path. Why?
When somebody wants to put into practice what Swami is saying, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God, and I'm no different from God, they don't get the meaning. They don't get the gist of it. And I'm going to explain to you that in real life, people think that when they say I'm not, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God, they think that I'm the body.
Yes.
The problem is they think they are the body, and their prayer does not take off, or their uh, desires of being with Swami and to follow him does not happen, because most of the time the biggest blunder is they think they are the body.
It took me a long time to understand that there's reason why people think that. People in their 50s and 60s or 70s, they have a tradition of thinking that was the gold standard. That's the truth. Who am I? I'm this mind-body entity. It takes a long time, though, I think, to have somebody correct you in your misunderstanding of self, as Baba would do, and make the full conversion over to understanding what he's really saying, that you are not the body. So is it understandable to you why so many people either are in denial or simply don't practice that?
Well, I believe I understand why many people couldn't pick it, because they don't really pay attention. They don't listen to Swami. And in many of Swami's literature are being written and spelled out in the Sai everyday mail that I get, and I learned so many things out of it. Where Swami said, "You you have reached a certain extent, not to me, but to one devotee." He says, "You have reached a certain extent. Now it's good to do self-inquiry." He used the word self-investigation.
Right.
Who am I? And the self-inquiry will lead to the complete annihilation of the ego, which is the be all and end all for all your spiritual growth and heading towards self-realization. Because if you don't annihilate or dissolve the ego, you will still be in the body, you will still be in the world. When we are in, I would say, mainstream spirituality, when Swami is everything for us, he is going to guide you to the right direction. Whether he tells you to go this place and that place, or do this or that, do that, you must be the person who is interested in doing it only by listening to Swami. Baba, in so many of his Sai literature, has mentioned that in order for you to realize the self, you must kill the ego. And Ramana Maharshi, a veteran in this, a teacher, a sage, he has never been wrong in saying that you need to go deeply into self-inquiry to inquire, who am I, in order to reach the point. The point is self-realization. I am is existence. I am is truth. And I am puts you into the fourth dimensional state of consciousness. And Swami is always saying, say Soham. With your breath in and out, Soham. Soham, I am he, I am he, I am he. This is what he gave as a prescription. In the Ramana Maharshi said, Deham Neham, which means I'm not the body. Koham Soham. Who am I? I am he. So this is what he said. And Swami said, you can say, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God. But the simplest thing is, I am. This is the truth. But this is not finished. When you're in I am, you have to go beyond, which means you have to transcend I am in order for, excuse me, for one to be self-realized. You have to transcend that. Self-inquiry technique is one of the simplest things. It is one of the things that can be reached anywhere, anytime. Once you know it, you can put it into practice. There is no need to have a specific time to wake up early. If you can wake up early, it's good. Or to be in the afternoon after your meal or whatever, if you want. It is not necessary. You can put it as a everyday program in your life.
Dharma, on that very point, I've had people ask me, the lesson is to do self-investigation, to do self-inquiry. I've inquired into my inner self. I have found some things that have helped me, but I don't know where to go now. And Ramana and Baba say, do self-investigation. How much self-inquiry need you do?
Okay, as long as the mind is here, you will have to do it. Anyone has to do it. If the mind is dissolved, is completely annihilated,
Yeah.
then you don't stop. The stop is going to be forced upon you.
That's a great question. Great answer.
And many people have been doing jap. There's one person, he has been doing the jap of, say, Krishna, 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 Krishna 50,000 times a day. And Krishna manifested and came into meet with him. When he's sleeping, he came and disturbed him. Krishna was coming and playing with him over and over and over again, maybe the whole night. But then one day he went to see Ramana Maharshi, and Ramana Maharshi said, okay, oh, you say Krishna comes, eh? So that's good. But then he kind of deflated him completely. He says, whatever appears and disappears is not real. So we have to be very careful in terms of what we see, what experience we have, this and this and that. We kind of take a higher view of the situation and we say, okay, I have to explain to people, do this and do that. These are all things that's not going to lead you anywhere, because the real thing that should happen, and the only real thing that should happen, is to annihilate the ego. For this, you have to practice devotion. You have to practice self-inquiry. Now, many people, they have the option, say, okay, I'm saying jap, I'm doing japa, this mantra, this mantra. But a mantra is something that you should transcend with time. You cannot keep and hold on to that mantra. You have to transcend it.
Well, when you talk about transcending, it
Yes,
sounds to me that those who transcend the mantra, their practices, arrive at a state that often is referred to as awakening or
exactly.
self-realization. You sound like you're speaking from experience, Dharma. Are you there?
I would not say yes and no. And for me, the way I approach it, self-realization is just like in the worldly sense, you cannot tell anybody about your balance in the bank account. If I die, I have no problem with it.
Do you have
So
any?
I don't have any fear because death is for the body, but I am eternal. But what I can tell you, there is a lot of things happening, which means I am more happy. I am happier than before. I don't fear. I have no fear. And fear what? Fear of death. I don't fear death.
Do you have any questions left? Any questions about anything having to do with Dharma?
Well, Dharma is only a name. It has nothing to do. It's the body, it's the gross body. The body will die one day as it has incarnated.
The reason why I ask you is because I have actually had discussions and interviews with people who are thought to be awakened. And that's one of the first things they tell me, that that process has taken away all their questions, which I think is a real big advantage for living in this perceived illusory life.
Yeah. Really, really, I don't have any question for Swami and I don't have any question for Ramana. The only thing that I do, I only do my practice. And I'm very happy to say, to report that this this has brought so many positive changes in my life. And what is it other than peace, happiness, and contentment that you need? So, and as Swami said, self-realization is in everybody. Everybody is self-realized. But we are befogged with so much of the past, the present, our anger, our desires, that leads us to being in the mode of unfinished business, and we come back again and again and again.
Are there levels of growth in your spiritual journey? Do you continue to learn?
Well, learning is something that does not stop. If I want to learn, if I have to learn, then it will take my time. And I only want to do minimal thing, go in deeply into the teachings of Swami. Because the teachings of Swami, he has said, whatever I have taught you, you don't need to do anything. You are even better, even if you don't want to do self-inquiry, you don't want to do jap, you don't want to do puja, you don't want to do bhajan, you're free. But if you follow my teachings, that will lead you to the source. And because of this, I don't want to get into too much of reading, too much of this and that. And I do regularly what needs to be done, but it should be regular.
Many teachers have said, however, that one cannot will themselves to awakening, to self-realization. Yet you and others seem to have done just that.
It is something that is going to unfold into your life. And you will never know when, why, but as Swami said, if you do your practice sincerely and you follow my teachings to the letter, self-realization will be forced upon you.
Yes, he was rather emphatic about that.
Yeah. He said that will, even if you don't want it, it will be forced upon you. So what is this kind of guarantee we're getting from Swami? And we are being we don't want to follow him.
Yet you follow them even after they've left the picture. You mentioned to me in an email not so long ago that you're headed for Tiruvannamalai, the ashram of Ramana Maharshi,
Yeah.
and Puttaparthi, the ashram
Yes.
of Sai Baba, years after they have left their body. Why?
I am gearing up to go to Tiruvannamalai and also to visit Swami. And, it was something that came up like that. I decided to go, and we'll see how it is to be there. Just want to spend some time with both of them.
Do you see yourself as a teacher? Might you be teaching others while you're there?
No, based on what Ramana Maharshi said, you don't need to teach anybody. Your presence is itself something that can bring uh, people to an understanding. And if ever you get a chance to speak a little bit, but don't try to teach anybody about anything. He never teach. He looks at you, and the teaching is happening like with his eyes. And and but when I see him and when I see Swami, I can connect to that energy of silence. And he says, silence, if you do silence only, you don't need to do anything. Just keep silence. There is a Sanskrit word that they use, they say monam. Monam is something beyond silence. It is the unfathomable silence which he is referring to. So when he got his own revelations, his own self-realization, he remained like that for the rest of his life, without a word. He speaks very, 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 very little.
Yeah.
And when you ask him a question, you will take 15 minutes to answer a little bit, maybe one word or two.
Oh, that's the whole point. I've met other people, such as yourself, to whom the answer to my question, are you a teacher, is the same. No, I'm not a teacher. But they also say, if anybody asks me about my path, about my experiences, I will gladly share them with them.
If Swami wants me, this is in his hand. If he wants me, I'll do it. Otherwise, it's not something that I want to do.
Before I decided to do this interview today, you wrote me an email in which you said you thought about giving perhaps a title to our interview today, and you suggested the impersonal awareness of being I am. Why the emphasis on the impersonal?
Well, in deep sleep, there's absolutely nothing. The only awareness is the awareness of being I am. I am, as I said, and not me, but as Swami, as our Guru, as our God, he said, I am is the consciousness that is absolutely everywhere. This is the I am which exists in me, in you, in the worm, in the tree, in the stone, in anything. The I am, the I am, or the consciousness is pervasive everywhere. There is no bits or pieces where consciousness is not present. And Lord Shiva, in his book, Ribu Gita, that teachings came from him, from no one else. In Ribu Gita, he said clearly that if you inhale in the supreme absolute reality, which is existence, consciousness, bliss, that's it. It's all enough.
Let me ask you, to whom do you share these thoughts with? I've found it in my own life, and I know many others say it too. There are increasingly fewer and fewer people we know, from relatives to family members to friends to coworkers, with whom to share these ideas.
Well, my listener, at times I discuss with Maya, my wife, and but otherwise there is no such thing that I really want to kind of go into the fore and say, you know what, I want to talk about this and that. I feel much at ease to to kind of deepen my practice as opposed to look for avenues of talking to people, and many may not like it, many may not digest it, or many may not understand the nitty gritty of the subject, and so I kind of play safe here.
That's a very good answer. Before we go, I want to ask you if there's any final thought you'd like to express that's important to you to share, but what hasn't been brought up yet in this discussion about who you are, where you are, and what you are.
I am everywhere, and I am no one. I am I am the consciousness. I am the super consciousness, and I have never been born. I have never been born, and I'm never going to die. I will always prevail.
I think that's the first time I've ever had anybody say this so directly and so firmly.
Ted, let me tell you, as I say, consciousness speaks. All these discussions, they are not my word. They are the word of Swami. And I can humbly say whatever I'm saying is all the humble words, but the words that Swami put into me, and I am humbly saying it to you. There's nothing, but I'll go on my journey wherever I reach. But the most important thing, I want to be content, to lead a contented life, to be happier, and to be at peace. We have to think that this life of ours is only a dream. The dream of the world is not real. So one has to be very conscious that what we are doing is a projection of the mind.
Well, that's a beautiful way to end this. And I want to thank you for giving so generously of your time today.
Yeah.
Dharma Bungaroo from Greater Toronto, Canada, from a
Yeah.
nice town there in Ontario. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and thank you again for joining us on Souljourns. And Sai Ram, Sai Ram.
Say, say, thank you so much. I will